do. So I'll go through a little bit of the corporate overview, touch on some of the products, some of the applications and features of what we can do and all the different applications that are capable within our players. And then I'm going to end it with a little bit of just a quick demonstration of our authoring software, excuse me, which is BrightAuthor. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the networking options available as well. So in case some of you aren't really familiar with what we do, you know, one of the things that really separates us is the fact that BrightSign really differentiates because all we do is make media players. Most of the industry out there in the digital signage market are software manufacturers who make some type of contact management or content management software. And so they will make a nice software program, charge you for that, and then also sell you hardware. We kind of differ in our approach in that we make very good, reliable hardware, and we give you the software to make your signage, and that's at no charge. So we really kind of approach it in a different way. What we're really known for is our reliability and our affordability. There's not going to be a media player in the world today that you're going to find that has anywhere near the reliability of a BrightSign player. And the one thing that's really interesting is you would think that type of approach would cost a lot of money, and in reality, you're not going to find very many media players out in the market today that have the reliability that we have, and then in addition to having the affordability options. So we really stand on a very high quality capability, and we have a very, very powerful engine that has a lot of capabilities as well. So just how we started really, a lot of you might not know the name Anthony Wood, but you use his invention, if you will, every day if you're recording any TV shows. Anthony actually invented the technology for the digital video recorder. So if you're recording any TV shows, you're using his invention every day. He did that back in the early 2000s, sold that business off, and actually then started up a video streaming company called Roku. So many of you may have a Roku device in your home as well, and that's Anthony Wood's company. So we actually are sister companies with Roku. Anthony Wood and Jeff Hastings, our CEO, are good friends. Anthony started Roku back in the early 2000s, and obviously for a consumer product, Jeff Hastings came in and said there's a great opportunity with that platform to move it forward as a commercial player as well. So we actually are just celebrating our 5th anniversary this year. And so Jeff branched off from Roku back in 2000, I think it was 2010, and started BrightSign. So we're privately held. We're based in Silicon Valley in Los Gatos. We have offices all over the world. Our main office is obviously in Silicon Valley. We've got a pretty big branch of engineers in Cambridge, UK. We've also got sales offices in Europe, actually in Paris, France, and then also some engineering offices in the Ukraine as well with our software engineers. So about 40% of our total revenue is actually done in Europe and Asia. Obviously 60% done in North America. So the number of 500,000 units sold to date is actually more like 750,000 units. So we are the market leader. We've sold more media players than anyone in the world, and that continues to rise. This is a really busy sheet, but the one thing I like to show is not only that BrightSign leads the way in total units sold, but one of the really interesting points on this is how flooded this industry is with digital signage media players. This is everything. This is media players, this is PCs, Android devices. This is all tracked by IHS, which is a big industry technology report tracker. And the interesting point is down at the bottom on this far right. Others. There's over a third of the industry has less than 0.2% of the total market share. So there are a ton of media player manufacturers out there, and BrightSign leads the way, but you can see how flooded it is. So when you're out in the market, you're going to see a lot of media player companies out there, whether they're software companies selling hardware as well, or if they're just little Android players trying to make a name for themselves in the market. There's a lot of them out there, and I'm sure you guys know that. You know, a lot of times there's, you know, these CMS companies, I mentioned, make a really nice software solution, but their hardware solution is either antiquated or just not powerful enough. So the list of people that are coming to us and saying, hey, we have a nice software package, but we really need a better solution for our hardware, and they've come to the BrightSign to integrate their software with our hardware. So companies like Tightrope, who are getting a really big name in the industry, they're based here in St. Paul, Minnesota, they're getting a really big name, and they're using BrightSign media players exclusively. So they've got a great software solution and using BrightSign media players as their hardware. Same thing with Juan, who does a great job in the quick restaurant industry. Reflect does a lot with retail. WonderSign is a really inexpensive solution from a software perspective. So all of these guys on this list are a good software solution that have different specialties, if you will, in the software part of it, but they all use BrightSign now for their hardware purposes. So we really, I mentioned what we stand for, and really where the advantage is for all of you selling BrightSign players. The reliability, I can't stress any further. We have a fail rate that's less than 0.25%. So you literally could have over 5,000 media players out in the market, and one of them might fail. So it's a real number. It's why companies like Bose and GoPro specifically, who have literally hundreds of thousands of endpoints with their point-of-purchase displays, they have switched over exclusively to using BrightSign media players because they know when they deploy these displays throughout the world, they are just always going to be working. And so that's the reason why companies like Bose and GoPro have switched over to BrightSign. And it's the majority of the reason why people are going to want to use a BrightSign platform is the players just work. They're non-PC, there's no moving parts in there, it's a solid state device, and so there's no fans in there to keep it cool, it's not going to overheat, it's a very small device, and it's built specifically for digital signage. So the other side of it is it's very affordable. Our players start at $200 and top out at $850. Again, it includes software. You can go on to brightsign.biz and download our authoring software, BrightAuthor, for free. So there's even options for your end users to network and push content out to the media players at no additional charge as well. So it's a very affordable solution. It doesn't take a lot of energy, so the power requirements are very low. It's extremely simple to install. It's an HDMI connection and a Cat5 or Cat6 if you're networking them. And again, just very reliable, very scalable, and they play all the industry standard contents out there right now. So very versatile as well. So let's get into just the products. This is a suite of the products that we have. It's very small, but they're very specific in what they're capable of doing. But we start at $200 and top out at $850. If I really kind of lay it out in how we approach it, we go with a good, better, best strategy. Our HD series all support 1080p, so the current TVs that are out there today, this does 1080p at 60 frames per second. It also has HTML5 capabilities. A lot of these content guys have all switched over from using Flash to using HTML as their content driver. The HD models all support HTML. They have remote snapshot, which allows you to go out and actually you would use your PC to view what is playing at any given time on any given BrightSign media player. So all of that is supported in the HD models. The better solution is the XD series. That's when you step up. You've got power over Ethernet, much faster graphics. It has a faster HTML engine inside the XD versus the HD, and you can actually have the video processing engine in the XD series is much more powerful than the HD models in that you're able to play two 1080p 60 frames per second videos simultaneously on the same screen. So very powerful video capabilities in the XD series. And then when you get to our best solution, which is our new 4K players, the only 4K players in the world today that can play the H.265 compression format at 60 frames per second and 10-bit video. Very, very powerful. I'm sure you're all seeing 4K TVs coming out. They're emerging very quickly. By this holiday, probably at least 25 to 30% of all TVs will be sold will be 4K. By next year, we're assuming that 4K TVs will be everywhere. 1080p will be on the outskirts. So 4K is emerging very quickly. Everyone's scrambling to try to get to this new H.265 compression format, and BRIGHTSIGN is the only one that can do it today, and we've been doing it since last October. So we're very proud of this particular player, but it's not only about 4K. These 4K players from BRIGHTSIGN have extremely powerful HTML performance. So there's really nothing that these players can't do from an HTML perspective. So that's a very important part of it, and something that you need to keep into consideration when you're working with end users and other dealers to make sure that they're knowledgeable that these things have such a powerful HTML capability. So for some of you that might have knowledge of BRIGHTSIGN, there's a few things that we added to the series this year. I mentioned HTML. All of our players from HD, XD, and 4K are capable of having HTML. I mentioned as you get higher up into the series, they just get more powerful as you move up. Remote snapshot, that's a very important piece that people need to see. If you're selling advertisement, for example, this is a way for you to show proof of performance to anyone that you're selling advertisement to. You're able to prove that their advertisements were shown at any given time, and you're able to show them and send them actual proof when it was played, how often it was played, and such. Power over Ethernet, I mentioned. That's something that a lot of people have been asking for. Obviously, it eliminates one less cable in your installs. H.265, I'll get into in a little bit further. And mSATA, the 4K players all have mSATA drives for those needing that extra content. I just want to go through real quick about this H.265 compression standard. It's clearly the next generation in the evolution of compression technology. Back in the 90s, it was MPEG-2. Back in the early 2000s, it went to H.265. And now all of the content guys are starting to switch over to using H.265. And all it does is it essentially takes these massive 4K files that are 70, 80, 90 megabit, and they compress that file down to, say, the size of a 1080p file, say 15, 20 megabit, but without losing any of the video quality that you get from 4K, which is a huge part of these guys sending out all this 4K content. If they did it in a H.264, the files would be massive and the bit rates would be amazing, and it'd be impossible to get all that information out. So H.265 is the way that these 4K files are being sent out, and if you don't have a media player that can receive and decode that H.265 format, it's not going to play. And so again, BRIGHTSIGN is the only player that's able to take that H.265 compression setting and decode it and play it. So it's a very important piece of the puzzle right now, and BRIGHTSIGN leads the way with that. So I mentioned a lot about the 4K player. I guess I don't need to go into too much further, but these are the key advantages of 4K, HTML, H.265, the MSATA capability, and true 4K playback. And again, 10-bit colors, all these new TVs from the TV manufacturers, they all have this H.265 capability. They all play back at 60 frames per second, and they all have 10-bit color capabilities. And so it's important that when you're selling these media players, they know, the customers know that all of the TVs have this capability. There's nobody on the planet today that can have a media player that will play up to the standards of these new TVs other than BRIGHTSIGN. There's 3 models in our 4K players. We start at $600 and go up to $850. There is the capability with the 1142 for having live TV. So it's got HDMI in. They're all HDCP compliant, so they can connect to a cable box, DirecTV, Dish TV, satellite boxes, so that's capable. And that'll be much more important, clearly, as we move up and there's live 4K content being played. But clearly it can play 1080p content as well. The only reason you're going to be stepping up from a 242 is if you need, say, digital audio output for SPDIF, or you need a serial connection. The 242 would not have serial or RS-232. You'd need to move up to the 1042. So really it's just an input-output capability as you move up the ladder. I do have this slide and all the other XD and HD and LS line available, and Bill, I can get this out to the guys, but I think this is a really nice slide to be able to keep for your records when you don't know which model to choose from for your customers. This kind of points out for the 242, you're going to get all these features or all these capabilities in the 242. But again, if you needed USB input, the 242 does not have USB. You'd need to step them up into the 1042. So I think this kind of gives you a good, easy way to look at which models you need to move to in order to get the specific capabilities. The XD models, again, we also have 3 models, starting at $450, going up to $650. Again, the $650 model, the 1132, has HDMI in, so it has the capability of playing live TV. You see down in the bottom right corner an example of how you can utilize digital signage with live TV and advertising wrapped around it. That's what you can do with the 1132. Again, all HDCP compliant, so capable of taking a live feed from cable or satellite boxes. And again, same thing, as we move up from the 232, these are the capabilities. Moving up to the 1032, you'd only need to move up to get these specific features. All of the models, all 3 of these models have the same capabilities and performance in terms of HTML, PoE, all of the same capabilities. You just move up because of the inputs or outputs. The HD models, we only have 2 models in the HD capability, starting at 350 and 500. There is no live TV capabilities for the HD models. You're specifically going to move up if you need, say, serial or USB or that type of connection. But again, the HD models have the capability of doing HTML and a single 1080p video decoding. And again, here's the step-up slide as well. And then we get to the LS. This is really our answer to the all the crappy Android devices that are out in the market today. We brought this in. It's a very small, compact footprint. Instead of having a metal box that the HD, XD, and 4K models are, we've made it a plastic box. We've taken all the costs out of the media players, keeping the same reliability standards that we keep for all of the other models, but we've taken as many costs out of these as we can to make it an affordable solution for some of these customers that are only going to use it for basic video and image playback. So the LS422 can do 1080p video at 30 frames per second versus 60. You know, again, it's got capabilities with GPIO for interactivity. It's got a USB input. It also has SPDIF digital audio. So there's capabilities for these in a very small and compact manner, and $250 price point at least competes with some of these crappy Android devices that are out there. The LS322 is an audio-only piece. We're in the process of putting together a package here within the next 30 to 60 days with SiriusXM, which we're really excited about. It'll be an opportunity for you guys to go in and sell not only the media player, but the SiriusXM audio services that they offer from a commercial basis. So more to come on that, but the LS322 is something that we'll be offering with SiriusXM as well. Some just examples. These are some of the reasons, most of the LS series is used in the retail market for some of these POP displays. Very reliable, the video quality is awesome, and they're capable of doing a lot of things with interactivity. We do offer some accessories. In addition to being able to do touch screens through USB, we also offer these the USB button panels. So you can literally program whatever you want these buttons to do. Specifically, Bose uses these on their POP displays for volume up and down and skip to the next track, play, pause, that type of thing. So these button panels are very inexpensive, about 35 bucks, but they're much more reliable than some of the other things that people are using today for interactivity. There's capability for Wi-Fi in these players. The module on the right is a $50 module. It literally allows you, you're going to pop the hood off of the BrightSign player and pop it in and pop the hood back on. It's compatible with the XD and 4K models. Clearly, we would prefer that you try to do a wired connection when you're doing networking, but obviously that's sometimes not available. You're only as good as the Wi-Fi connection, so we would prefer wired, but if you need that application, we have it available. SD cards, while it may seem trivial, it's actually a very important part for BrightSign because I mentioned earlier we don't have any hard drives in our players. All of the content resides on an SD card, and there's a lot of really bad SD cards out in the market. We have a contract with Lexar. Our SD cards that we sell are very inexpensive. We make very little money off of them. So we offer them to you and your customers so that you are guaranteed you're going to get a good quality SD card. There's a lot of cards out there that did not pass production standards and got thrown into a bin and sold at pennies on a dollar. That's why you can buy SD cards for $4 or $5 today versus the $10, $11 that we sell them for. They're just you're rolling the dice with some of these other SD cards. So make sure that you're selling a BrightSign SD card with your sales. You're going to be guaranteed performance standards. So if I get into some of the features, I'm not going to go through all of these. I think I've touched on many of them. But some of them that I think are important, I mentioned live TV. This is a really important piece that a lot of people want to do and don't know how to do it. I think BrightSign and BrightAuthor make it very simple. You're simply building a zone that allows live TV and then just building different zones. This is a live, say, live text feed, or you can have a Twitter feed down here. However you want it to look, you can create that in BrightAuthor. But it's a very important piece of the puzzle, and BrightSign makes it very simple. IP streaming, same thing. There's the capability of taking an IP stream and streaming it to the BrightSign players. So very important to understand that there's multicast capabilities with these players, and BrightSign makes it very simple to do. Let's see here. What else do we got? The remote snapshot, I mentioned what it is, but again, this is a great way for you to see what's playing on any given player at any given location, anywhere. And it gives you the time stamp, the date that this particular screen played. So again, when you're selling advertisement, here's all the information, Mr. Customer. It played this many times on these dates, however you want it. And I think remote snapshot is a nice feature that we just added to the players. Sign preview, some of you guys that may have not used BrightAuthor for a while, there used to be you weren't able to see what you were creating in BrightAuthor until after you published it. Now there's a little button up or a click that you can see what you're building before you have to publish it. So just anyone who's not interested or familiar with that. Bright Wall is something that we just created for video wall capabilities. Very, very easy way for your customers to build video walls. You literally go in and say, I've got a 2x2 video wall. It automatically creates a 2x2. You take your video, drag it into the location, and it automatically will clock synchronize each of the BrightSign players so that they play flawlessly. So BrightWall is a really easy way for your customers to make video walls. Zones, you know, this is, I'll get through real quick how BrightAuthor, how we build a few zones in BrightAuthor, but again, you can make the screen however you want it to look through building zones within BrightAuthor. UDP control, we have the capability of making all types of remote control and interactive capabilities over Ethernet or wirelessly. Live feeds, we can take whatever content you want and make changes to them on the fly using iOS devices. You can make changes to RSS feeds. You can take third-party, say, airport flight schedules and connect them all through live feed capability. We have a BrightSign app, again, allows you to take and customize how you want the screen to look. In this case, here's a price tag. You can go in at any given time with our BrightSign app and change the pricing or the content information all through the BrightSign app. I think that's about it there. I think I've gone through that. I think what I'll do now is just kind of get through the capabilities for networking, just so you know the capabilities and what we can do from a networking standpoint. And then I'll go through real quick on BrightAuthor, show you an example. So there are, I mentioned there's options to publish to the BrightSign players via networking at no additional charge. Obviously, local SD publishing would be manually taking one SD card out, plugging a new one in. But if you have all of your media players on the same LAN, you're able to just push the new content out, and all the players that are connected to the network would be able to receive that new content. Simple file networking is a really interesting option for customers that may have, say, less than 20 media players out in the field, and they want to push content out to them. Simple file networking allows you to create a web server like a Dropbox file and create new content in that web server. The players are set up to go out and find that web server and download new content whenever it's available or whenever the players are told to download it. So that's capable of doing at no additional charge. So there's actually two networking options that your end users can use that would be absolutely free of charge. If they have more than around 20 players, I would highly recommend that you push them to our cloud-based service, which is BrightSign Network. Our BrightSign Network runs off of the Amazon servers, which is the most reliable server in the world. I think they're triple redundant, so there really is never a situation where the servers go down. But it gives your customers the ability to group players, set up individual user admin rights, so somebody can actually go in and only make changes to a certain zone on a certain screen. So there's a lot of different versatile options for you to designate within BrightSign Network. The good thing about BrightSign Network, and really how it differentiates from a lot of these software companies out there, is BrightSign Network is only $99 per player per year. So it's a very affordable solution for those people who want to use BrightSign, don't want to invest in a very costly content management solution. BrightSign Network and BrightAuthor would provide your customers with that capability. So we've got a lot of customers that are using BrightSign Network and have literally hundreds and sometimes thousands of endpoints that they're managing through BrightSign Network. So it's not just for small network capabilities. There's customers that are using these for multiple endpoints throughout the country and world, if that, for that matter. And then we also have an enterprise edition for BrightSign Network for those customers that don't want or would prefer to have their content reside on their servers themselves. And that's $15,000 list price to start up and about $7,500 a year, which is actually about a third of what enterprise solutions typically cost. So still another affordable solution from an enterprise standpoint. So I'm just going to get into just a quick example of how we would create BrightAuthor, create a zoned presentation within BrightAuthor, how to publish it. So I've opened up BrightAuthor here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Tools and set up our BrightSign Net unit. We can name it, describe where it's at if we want. If I have Wi-Fi, I enable that. In this case, if I have a wired connection, I can go in and I've got a wired connection. I can either obtain a IP address automatically or enter in all the IP content information there. So all of that can be done at the setup. I always like to make sure that the enabled diagnostic web server is checked. That allows you to go in and see what's happening at any given time. So make sure that is always checked. In this case, we have a standalone piece. If we were enabling it on BrightSign Network, we would collect this and make sure that it goes into specific groups or such. In this case, we're just doing a standalone. And again, all the logging, the playback logging, event logging can be done, and make sure that you're seeing that. Enabling remote snapshot is always a good option as well, so that you can see what's playing at any given time. So once we create the setup files, we've got this screen on ours. We're gonna essentially go in and create a new layout. We've got, if I go into the layout tab here, I can either do a full screen of a bunch of videos or images, just scrolling through one after the other, or in this case, we're going to actually go in and change. We're going to make a bunch of different layouts. So I'm going to go into a new presentation. I can call it whatever I want. I go in and I say what player I have. In this case, I've got an XD1132. I'm connecting it via HDMI. The TV that I'm using is a 1080p with 60 frames per second, and I'm doing landscape. And I'm scanning it over a full screen. So if I hit create, it brings me to a group of templates. So in this case, I've got a full screen, but I've got a lot of options in terms of being able to choose, say, a 5-zone template if that's what I want, or a 3-zone. There's templates that are already chosen. If I make my own template, I can save it and choose it in this drop-down. It'll list it here. So there's a lot of versatility in terms of either choosing one, building your own and saving it, choosing it at some point in the future. In this case, I'm just going to do a full screen, and I'm going to go to layout again. In this case, I want to build, say, we're going to do 5 zones. So I'm going to click down here on add a zone, and I'm going to be a video or image zone. In this case here, I'm going to do, say, a video zone here, and I'm going to make it about this size here. So I can choose however I want that to be. So if I go in and go into add another zone here, I'm going to go into images. I'm going to have a couple image zones playing up here. I'm going to add another zone, and this one's going to be video, so I'm going to do video and images. Oops. Oops. And then down here, whoops, I'm sorry. And then down here, I'm going to make a Twitter feed. So I'm going to go down to the size down here and size it. So now I've got all 5 of my zones. If I go back into the Edit tab, I'm going to choose where my content is going to come from, and I'm going to choose my images. So now I've got all my images. And so in this main zone, I'm just going to have a bunch of images looping. So I'm going to choose whatever images I want and drag them into the area. I can move them around. If I'd want this over here, I can move it anywhere I want. If I want to delete one, I highlight it and delete it. So now I've got in zone 2 here, I'm going to have all of these images looping one after the other. I can double click, and in this case, they're going to play for 6 seconds each. I can change that. I can change the duration. I can change the effect in terms of wiping or exploding or however, whatever effect I want them to be. So that's how that zone is going to work for me. In this case, in zone 3, I've got images again, so I'm going to go in and choose my images here and play a few other images. Zone 4, same thing. Zone 1, I mean, I could make that whatever I wanted. If I wanted it to be a clock, I could do that. A Twitter feed, I can go in and actually say if I wanted it to be a Twitter feed, I can go in and add my data feed. It's going to ask me what the file name is. I'm just going to say ESPN, whatever my URL is. I don't have the URL for it, so I'd have to put in the URL for it and say okay. So now if I want to see what that's going to look like, I come up here to preview half, and here's all my images. They're going to be scrolling in and out. This could be whatever I wanted it to be. Obviously, I don't have the URL feed down here, but that would be scrolling through as well. So there's my 5 zones, and I can set them up however I want. If I wanted videos playing or clocks or weather widgets or whatever you wanted it to be. So that's what my screen is going to look like. Now I can go back and make changes if I want. If I like what I see, I can go to publish. So now, if I go to publish, I'm saving it. It's been saved. Now, right now, it's going to play all day, every day. And I can go in and choose whenever I want it to play by clicking on the day. In this case, if I don't want it to play all day, every day, and I want it to start at 5:30 a.m. and go to noon, you know, I just literally type in when I want it to play, what days I want it to play, and such. So that's literally how you would schedule. You could schedule all different types of content at any given time during the week. And then we just go to publish. I guess I can't I don't have anything in my F drive, but you would have your SD card in your computer and publish it to your SD card, and away you go. So it's literally that simple within BrightAuthor, and you're able to really create and be versatile in terms of what you want it to do. I was very, very short with this, so I apologize. But there's a lot of versatility that we didn't really even get into in terms of interactivity. You know, if I click on interactive here, I've got a lot of different options in terms of being able to do touch buttons and all kinds of different capabilities. So, you know, again, I went through that very quickly. There's great tutorials on our website for those that would like to get a little bit more knowledge on the ins and outs of BrightAuthor. And I would highly advise you, if you're going to be, or any of your dealers are going to be selling BrightAuthor and BrightSign, that you have an understanding of how to use BrightAuthor and BSN, and all of those tutorials are on our website. So, Bill, I think that's essentially what I wanted to get through today. And I know we also wanted to talk a little bit about the dealer package that we have available for the guys to use as reference as well. So maybe I can hand it over to you, Bill, and we can talk through that as well.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Eric, for going through it. There's certainly a lot of information, and we wanted to make sure that we gave everybody a quick test drive of BrightAuthor, because the hardware is one side of the sale, but kind of understanding what the software looks like and how you interface with it. I think it was important to at least get everybody a small demonstration of what what it takes to put these together. And as you can see, the BrightAuthor software, not only has BrightSign created the best hardware in the industry, but they have the software to match. So with that, I'm going to take the presenter role for a second. And I want to review with you guys something that I am going to send to everybody after this training is over. You'll see this email by the end of the day. Also, I'm going to work with Eric to get the presentation that he just used, so we can get that to you for further reference. So I have all your email addresses based on you signing up for or registering for the webinar today. For those of you that are just call-in users, I won't have your email address there, so if you can just shoot me a quick email to remind me who you are, I will make sure that you guys get that presentation material as well. The goal is also to get this presentation posted up to my YouTube channel and then forwarded on to you as well. So if there's other people in your organization that you would like to sit through this presentation, you'll have a way to reference back to it. So I'm going to, hold on a second here. Hold on, I'm trying to share my screen here. No one can see my screen at the moment, I'm assuming.
No.
Where is it? Share my screen. Here we go. Okay. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so with working with BrightSign and with Erik, we had put together basically a quick reference guide to help you find the information about BrightSign all in one spot. So essentially what we created is a simple 2-page PDF that gives you some quick links to the website and to easily grab the information that you're looking for. So this will be part of the package that we send out to everybody, and I will also include a price sheet with the BrightSign players. But I wanted to go through this as well. So the BrightSign dealer package PDF that you'll receive has a couple links here which are alive on the PDF that have the BrightSign product lines, which the complete feature listing and the model comparison listing. So if you click these links here, it's going to take you directly to the BrightSign webpage, and you'll be able to go through and understand some of the features here that we were talking about, and you can drill down and get some more detail on each one of them. Same thing on the model comparison listings. This will jump through to the website, and you'll be able to compare all models of BrightSign players to make sure that you're choosing the one that's appropriate for the project. We really wanted to centralize all the tools that we have with BrightSign to really give you a very quick access to find the information that you need. Moving down the document here, we've got the BrightSign series of products, the LS, the HD, and the XD series, and the 4K product. So we talked a little bit about what the differences were in those products, but with the links that we just shared with you above and with the presentation that you'll get, you'll be able to easily identify which player is appropriate for the project that you're working on. Training modules. There's a lot of training modules that are available on the BrightSign store or on the BrightSign website, and we have the step-by-step training videos, which if I click this, you'll see there's a huge amount of training videos that are available, so that regardless of what feature you're trying to implement or which player you're working with, or understanding about BrightSign or BrightSign Network, there are videos here that you can easily access to do training prior to the installation, or if you just happen to get out to the job site and you need a quick refresher, these are bite-sized videos. We've got recorded webinars and also, again, tutorial videos, which, again, kind of walks you through the BRIGHTSIGN network setup, additional authoring tools, BRIGHTSIGN app, and essentially all the things that you need here to make sure that you're successful with the installation of the product. I do encourage you, though, that if you are interested in doing a digital signage or adding digital signage to your portfolio services, that you purchase a BRIGHTSIGN player. It's not a significant investment, but you work with one and kind of understand BrightAuthor and what its capabilities are prior to getting out to the job site.
Yeah, Bill, if I can just add to that, we do offer a 50% off demo discount for any of the demo units that you want to purchase. So just go through all that, and they'll be able to set you up with a half off the list price.
Great, that's a great offer, Eric. Thank you.
Yep.
Moving down, the support for BRIGHTSIGN is a little bit different than what you may work with in the typical custom electronics lines. The free support is there's free support, and it's unlimited email support. But we have to encourage you that whenever you have email support, there's going to be there could be a small delay in getting response to the information that you're looking for. So it's very important that you understand the product before you get out to the job site to make sure that you have good success. But we have great email support with BRIGHTSIGN, and it's a ticket-based system. So if you go to support if you click on this link, you'll be able to create a support ticket and get the information that you're looking for.
Yeah, and another thing just to add to that too, Bill, when you're doing that, I know it's not ideal. Everyone wants to have that phone number. You can certainly keep my number handy, but most of the time, if you give at least a detailed description of what you're experiencing, you'll probably get an answer within the hour. We've got round-the-clock engineers on our tech support line. Because we're worldwide, we've got guys in the UK and Ukraine. So for the most part, if you give a detailed understanding of what you're experiencing, what the problem is, you're going to get a much better opportunity to get an answer fairly quickly.
Okay, great. Eric, do you want to give this access to numerous developer resources? Can you go through that?
Well, those are a lot of the plugins. There's a lot of guys that there's a lot of it's probably not going to come up a lot with you guys, but we have an open platform. So there's a lot of companies that may want to look at integrating whatever their software or hardware platform that they have. We're open to. You can open up any of our plugins and applications and look at the API of a BRIGHTSIGN player. So we're completely open, and that's what those are for. It's probably not going to come up often, but hey, we're open to discussing any integration opportunities.
Okay, great. And then we do offer priority support. So if you are in a situation where you do require a phone call with an engineer, we have 2 priority support packages. For $100, you can receive a call back within the next business day, and for a priority call back within a call within the next 4 business hours of $400. So in order to access that, you can visit this link here and get that priority support that you're looking for. So my recommendation is if this is your first BRIGHTSIGN project that you're doing, maybe you go ahead and budget for a priority support call just to make sure that you're covered and this doesn't come up as a surprise. So that way, it's we have dealers that are very successful with BRIGHTSIGN, and with anything there's a learning curve. So getting through your first installation is usually the hardest. And if you make the purchase of a demo piece up front and you work with it in your showroom and you kind of understand what the needs, what your needs are for additional information, you can very easily work with the email tech support to get all your questions answered. However, if you're in a job site and don't have experience with the product up front, you might want to just budget for a priority callback in case you need it for that project, and if you don't, you're money ahead.
A lot of dealers will actually include this in their proposal, is just add, 4 to 6 callbacks at $100 each, just add $500–600 to the overall cost of the project, so that they're in there if the customer ever calls and needs assistance immediately. It's built into your budget, and you've got that already set up or paid for. The other thing that I want to add too is always know that I'm available to help with any type of WebEx in front of the end users. If you have a project with an end user and you want to have some type of BrightSign representation, I'm based here in Minneapolis, but I can always, and I do this quite a bit, where you've got a project, you need some help from BrightSign in terms of presenting the overall project or the capabilities of what BrightSign can deliver. I'm always available to jump on a WebEx for a half hour, an hour, whatever it takes to be with the customer. And that seems to be fairly effective. Customers like that, and I'm always available to do that.
That's great, Eric. Thank you. Erik, do you have anything else that you want to cover?
That was about it. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to go in and get acclimated and, if you will, trained on BrightSign and more importantly, BrightAuthor. If you know the general basics of how these presentations, you're much further ahead than a lot of these guys that are out here. I can't tell you how many times I get dealers selling a BrightSign project and having no idea what to do when the project comes to install. And then they come calling to us trying to find out, what do I do? And they look like idiots in front of their customers. So I would highly recommend that you get acclimated to BrightAuthor and BrightSign. I'm here to help you along the way, so don't think that you're on an island. We want to help you. We know we've got a great platform for you guys to sell to your customers, and there's a reason why BrightSign is the #1 leading media player company in the world, because we make amazing products for you guys. So hopefully you've got enough out of it today to at least hit the ground running. But again, get onto our website, go into the training tab, and at least take some time to really get an understanding of what you're selling before you get out there. But I'm here to help along the way.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat window here. We'll open up the session for any questions that you have, and then we'll conclude it. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any questions come through, so Erik, I want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate it, and we will get this information back out to everybody. Oh, I guess we do have a question.
There's one from Rick, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question, Rick.